Second, just waiting for the recording to become in progress. Here, in the meantime, we'll make a caption introduction to you. All right, I'm not sure how long this is going to take. Let's just get started. All right, everybody, welcome to today's AMA with QAN. We're happy to have Johann today, who's the co-founder and CTO. Johann, how are you today?
Hi, Tom. Thank you very much for having me here, and hello, everybody. Thank you also for joining this session. I'm all good. I'm really excited for today's session. So I'm ready for all the questions that you might have, and I'm pretty excited about our collaboration as well. So looking forward to this session.
Cool. Sounds good. So why don't we start with tell us about how you entered the crypto space, maybe how your background contributed to the early success of Quan and other endeavors you may have in the crypto space.
Okay, so this is rather long journey. So because it really doesn't start with someone entering crypto. Obviously, there's background reason that you heard about crypto in the first place. So I've been a software developer since I was 12. So my first product I built was a ringtone download platform back then with this monophonic ringtones which you could download on your monochrome phones, and there was a VOP, which was like the predecessor of internet, which we could use on our mobile phones. And I really wanted to build such a portal, and since I didn't have money for that, I had to learn it how to do it. And that was the moment when I was immediately fascinated, and I tasted like to create. This sounds cliche, but really to create something from nothing that really transforms your life. And
Did
ever
you
since
create
then,
your own ringtones as well?
no, ringtones not. I wasn't that much interested in that one because these ringtones were mainly converted from popular music tracks and stuff like that. So I wasn't into that much. But building a backend service and creating the connection with the provider to send the ringtone via SMS message to the buyer's number, so that was amazing to go through the whole process. And ever since I've been creating new stuff. I mean, I learned that we can create stuff, then why not always do something which there isn't on the market at all? So I've been always pursuing stuff like that. And as soon as crypto appeared, first I neglected Bitcoin. So I met Bitcoin like the really early days in 2011 or 12, something like that. But then, to be honest, I wasn't really precautious or didn't do my research really, because there were two factors which drove me away. One thing that you could hear all the bad news that this whatever coin it is used by terrorists and drug trafficking and all that bad stuff. So it's a means of payment by these bad actors, which drove me away. And then the other thing was because I got excited because it's distributed, and they said that it cannot be censored and turned down. And then I saw that it's all running on blockchain.com, and I said, okay, maybe you seize this domain and Bitcoin dies tomorrow. So I didn't do my research what it really means and how it works. So I skipped on it, unfortunately, and I got back into the game when Ethereum started booming and all these smart contract stuff, and that got me pretty excited that, okay, this is some brand new technology, I should learn it. And really the reason why Quan was born and it is built the way it is was because of that journey, because I had to dedicate like 6 months of my time to properly learn how how Solidity works, this brand new programming language, and how to create proper smart contracts, how not to get hacked, what's happening in the virtual machine in reality in the background when you write code. Because it's really similar to JavaScript, and this gives you the false confidence that you know what you're doing, but you don't. So you really have to get down to the what's happening behind the scenes. So yes, and after that, when I got into Solidity, I was hired to be the CTO and tech evaluator of a blockchain accelerator company, and the next step was Quan already. So when I met Silver as well, and then we started building it together.
Right. So how long have you guys been working on Quant for?
Well, since 2019, there have been a couple iterations already. So we already deployed the private testnet version to a couple of enterprise customers. And then we decided to actually rewrite it from scratch, basically, because we realized that it's all cool that you can build a new kind of blockchain, which is really groundbreaking and cutting edge tech. But if you don't respect those fine lines, that legacy which Ethereum brings, then you're not going to get to market, because you have to be Ethereum compatible, which is crazy hard if you aim to be a next generation platform as well, because obviously you want to employ new kind of technology, which is really difficult to squeeze into a legacy platform, so to say. It's crazy to call something not even 10 years old legacy, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, true.
But we figured it out. So I'm really proud of the team, and yeah, it's going nicely.
Good. And then you got the listing on Gate, so congratulations on that.
Exactly. That's also a very important milestone.
Right. So why don't we jump in? Can you tell us what QAN is exactly, and maybe tell us more about the vision of the project?
Sure. So QAN is a layer 1 game-changing blockchain platform. So it's in hierarchy terms, it's on the same level like Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain, just to mention the two most widely known platforms. And how it stands out is that it has quantum resistance. So this is
It's a hot topic.
This is a hard topic, because you will find many people who will tell you that we still have 2 years left, 3 years left, 5 years left, 10 years left, until this becomes an actual problem.
Right.
And the thing is that while I agree with them that I would be stupid not to agree with them that today there is no quantum computer powerful enough to crack Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency, because then we would be already in trouble. But the thing I'm emphasizing here, that if you don't launch a chain today with quantum resistance stack built in and already thought well through, then you cannot migrate and save an existing chain without causing severe losses. Because it's really that simple, that either you decide that from one block to the next block you will cut off all the existing wallets which don't have a paired quantum signing key, which will cause severe losses. Because imagine how many people have like cold wallets they have done, maybe they forgot it, so that will be hurtful and painful to the people. Or you introduce a migration window in which you essentially might enable attackers already access in the future to a quantum computer to steal legitimate users' funds and migrate them to their own quantum wallets. So both versions are really bad, and I haven't figured out anything in between which could work. So if I was given this job to do a migration for an already running chain, I couldn't do it. We just simply got lucky that we get to introduce quantum safe crypto from block 0.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Definitely a hot topic, something that has been in the crypto space mind for a while, but we always seem to put it like in the back of our minds for it being too far in the future. And one day it might just be that that day comes and it's too late. So
yeah,
it's
and
good
people
that you guys are taking this approach.
Yeah, people will be scratching their heads, because also a really frequent answer or opinion I hear about this, that there is a openquantumsafe.org, there are all the libraries implemented in C, you just pull them and put it into Bitcoin, problem solved. Really? Try it. How that goes through. If you start thinking about the little details, that's when you will realize that that shit isn't gonna work.
Yeah, yeah. Theory definitely different from practice for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, with that said, why don't you tell us about some major milestones that you guys have hit, and maybe tell us why those milestones are important?
Well, as I said in the beginning, the first big breakthrough, so to say, was that when we got the chance to deploy the testnet of the private blockchain to enterprise customers.
Mhm.
That was back into end of 2019, if I remember correctly. Well, there are many, so it's really hard to think it through. So then when we realized that was actually this year that we started refactoring it, how to be compatible with the Ethereum ecosystem, and by that to support the migration of existing logic contracts from an EVM compatible chain, and also to make the wallet handling compatible with all the popular software and hardware wallets out there, so we can truly reach mass adoption and gain easy access to market. And well, from other, because I'm only thinking about tech stuff, and there are some things under
That's
the
all
hood
right.
which I shouldn't reveal at this point. So it's really hard for me what to say here and what not, because the marketing guys will kill me if I reveal stuff too soon. But other than that, let's if we talk about non-tech stuff, then if you look at the holder count, so we are now, as far as I recall, close to 20,000 token holders, individual token holders. So I think that's pretty impressive. I'm really proud of that. And also, I'm really proud of the great community which we have on Telegram and all other channels, and especially our community moderators who are contributing to all this stuff, and they are all onboarding all the newcomers and members. So I think a pretty nice organization is forming around Quan, and it's going better and better every day.
Good. Glad to hear. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Maybe tell us more about QAN business model.
Yes, so the business model is really interesting. So we added a couple quirks to that. The core business model is really similar to any layer one chain, really. I mean, the tokens, if you buy them, you can use for pretty much the same stuff, which you would be able to use them for on Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. That being, obviously, send monetary transactions themselves. I mean, send tokens from address A to address B. That's pretty straightforward. Also, do any kind of transactions with existing smart contracts, so to pay for transaction fees associated to those. Also, pay for smart contract deployment, which means that when you write a smart contract and you want to upload that logic onto the chain, then you have to pay the fees accordingly for that. And also to buy validation tickets in our brand new consensus algorithm called proof of randomness, which works in a way. It's similar to, I won't say the word lottery here because I'm pretty sure that someone will misunderstand it, but it's really down to chance. And we try to design the system to be as fair as it gets, because if you take a look at proof of work, then it's really fair because of chance. I mean, you find that nonce by chance. On the other hand, it will consume a tremendous amount of energy, so that's not nice on the other hand. If you take a look at proof of stake, then the whales will always have significant voting power. On the other hand, it consumes little energy, so that's nice. And what we did here to join the best of both worlds, so essentially you're buying these tickets, but the tickets would expire. And how it's completely different from lottery, that when you buy a lottery ticket and it expires and you didn't win, money flushed down. But here you can extend your tickets. But if you purchase a high volume of tickets, you will have trouble maintaining them. I mean, extending them all the time, and you will end up with severe financial problems to extend tickets on a large scale. So it really makes sense on a small scale, and it's not sustainable on the large scale, and it's designed to be like that. So that brings us close to another topic, but that's maybe a bit technical. I wouldn't incorporate it here unless someone is specifically excited in that.
Yeah, sure. But I mean that's definitely a good introduction on how QAnon differs from other layer one. Maybe since you touched upon how it's different from other layer ones, maybe can you tell us about how it's different from other projects that are attempting to be quantum resistant?
Sure. So as of now, we are the only blockchain which is both quantum resistant and is compatible with Ethereum, and no one on the globe knows other than the tech team how we managed to pull that off. Because essentially, when you change a crypto stack, you cannot be compatible with Ethereum because it's using a completely different crypto stack, right? So this is the first problem to overcome. We did this, no one else did. And on the other hand, so I think this is a game-changing feature just alone on its own, because you either go with Ethereum compatibility, or you go through the process and design a completely different stack, but then good luck attracting users. So this is a key feature that we will definitely gain the biggest market share across the quantum resistant competitors which might be out there, because we are the only ones to have this. On the other hand, the other thing which I was insisting on is to redesign a VM which is capable of running any language which can be compiled down to a binary which is capable of running on a Linux kernel. And the reason why I wanted to go with this, because just as I started in the introduction, I went through the process, and I know how painful it is to learn not just Solidity but the EVM execution model in detail. Because really, is that painful? If you want to write a contract which handles money, you want it to be perfect. You want to know what you're doing. And to get to that level, it requires a significant time investment from a developer side. And so my goal was to shorten this process as much as possible. And the easiest way to do that is to let developers write smart contracts in any language they have mastered for the last 10 or 20 years, because then you don't have to go through this learning curve. Because we also have to see that there are two kinds of developers on this planet. There are the ones who do it for fun because they love this thing which they are doing and they are crazy about it. And then there's the other kinds who are hired by some software development company and they earn their salary there. But there is one common factor between these two types, and that is that if they write something, they want others to use it, either because of financial motives or because they want to contribute to the community. The key is that they will spread the word. So if we can open up the developer community and the possibility for more developers to build on a platform, there will be more users of decentralized applications. Simple as that. So that's no question. And by incorporating this new virtual machine solution, we will open up an approximate of 28 million developers who can enter the blockchain space without this learning curve. So they are a web application developer, even website developers. So you can code in JavaScript, Python, C, whatever language you know, and it will run just fine. So we just remove this burden. And anyone who has ever heard about blockchain and ever had a thought about trying it out, now they will be able to try it without having to invest a second of their time.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear. It definitely seems to be a common roadblock in this industry for new developers, even for people that have been coding for a while. Just the fact that they have to learn something new like Solidity kind of pushes them away a little bit, especially for the ones that you say that type of developer that does it for fun, for hobbying. Sometimes they just want to go in there and write it out and not take necessarily the time to learn it. But before we move on to some other questions, there is a question from the audience, which I want to read out to you. So Andres asks, how ready is the testnet? What are the chances that top 100 cryptos will move their projects to QAnon?
So yes, the testnet will be released end of this year. The important thing which we already see now, that the virtual machine integration will most likely come in Q1 2022. And the reason for that is that we need to support, obviously, both Solidity and all the other languages. And currently, it is exactly like that. So the EVM runtime is fundamentally different from anything else on this planet. So in order to ship a runtime which is compatible with both is kind of hacky. And for this reason, we want to come to a solution, but worst case scenario, we will ship with 2 virtual machines. This is not something unheard of. So if you take a look at Avalanche, Avax, they also ship with several virtual machines, but it would be much cleaner to find a common divisor and to ship it as a single object, a single building block. But we need some more research on this. So other than rushing it out and live with 2 VMs which run in parallel, we would like to make it clean. So for this reason, the VM will come Q1. And then, yes, the question is regarding the second part of what you wrote is how easy they can move their existing user base, because it's completely different that you have an existing solution running already on some chain with a lot of users and then convince your users to come for the exact same functionality to a new chain. Well, that might happen because, well, there's still upsides like the lower transaction fees and stuff like that. But I much more believe in the new projects targeting us as their first choice. But sure, this can happen, and surely it will happen in cases, but this is not the biggest area where I'm expecting new users from.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. And then we have a nice comment for you there.
Thanks so much. Come on.
People like you. Anyways, so for the next question, why don't you tell the community? Why don't you tell us all a little bit about the tokenomics of the project?
Well, the tokenomics is published, so that's all there it is to that. To be honest, that tokenomics was created in joint effort together with the VCs when we did the launch back then in June. So there were like more than 40 iterations of that to be get accepted for the fundraising. And yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's pretty clear. And to be honest, I don't even, if you ask me right now, I would have to open it. So I don't really care about that part too much. It's everything calculated properly and accounted for. So it is what it is. I don't know, if you give me a question in more detail, then I'm happy to answer, but it's published and it's there.
Okay. Then I guess just some general questions about where the industry is right now. I know that you say you, of course, care more about the tech side of everything, but everybody at the end has some kind of opinion regarding the industry's or your own project's price action, right? So maybe can you give us some of your thoughts on the general price action in the industry and of QAn as well?
You mean price action of the industry? You mean the crypto industry as a general, the crypto trading and
yes,
prices? Yeah. Well, I don't, and again, I don't want to be boring and say that I don't care because I'm focused on tech, which is, by the way, true, however boring it might sound. But the reason why I don't care about the price is because I can give you good examples and bad examples. I can give you meme coins projects which obviously have no long-term goal and which have pumped through the sky, and I can give you legitimate projects with actually good people and proper research behind them who you haven't even heard about. So I think that's really sad. But in general, and I always answer this when I'm asked this question, that I'm optimistic, I'm positive about it, that this is a groundbreaking technology in general, not just in blockchain logic and blockchain mindset, that the idea of distribution of information and not having a single point of failure. I think these are all fundamentals which will improve our lives in general. And if something improves our lives in such a fundamental way, then there has to be value. So this is the reason why I'm always bullish, as traders say, that because I really believe in the future impact of this technology we are working here on this ecosystem.
Great, thanks. And then we're gonna pass it on to some more questions from the audience. Here we have, hi, Johann. You said there are some companies using private blockchain testnet. How's it going? When will the test results be made public?
Well, they used it. To be honest, we started the collaboration with them to gain market experience. I mean, how it works to go there, go talk to a company, deploy it, talk with their IT people, whether this is something their policies would allow or not. So we were really testing the waters with it. So it's not that wasn't about the actual performance, because we did our measurements in-house. So unless they have fundamentally different hardware and architecture, we weren't expecting any different results. So this wasn't really about this. This was really about gaining first-hand user experience. I mean, the client experience with the partners where we deploy. And there are no real results to be made public, because they are using mostly for inventory tracking and proof accounting. So they are accumulating logs and putting proofs on their own private blockchain. And this was also the previous version. So it's a completely custom protocol. So this was the non-EVM compatible version, obviously. This is what we needed time for to refactor our testnet to be Ethereum RPC compatible. So no, those results most likely won't be made public. It's not in our contract even. And on the other hand, it wouldn't make much sense either.
Great. Okay, another question. If the virtual machine is available in Q1, what will be able to do with testnet coming end of the year for developers?
Yes, along with the testnet, we will release a fundamental piece of software which is not directly related to QAN, but it's much more a community movement. It's about a real missing piece. It's really a fundamental block which is missing from the whole ecosystem, and we will release it along with the testnet. And also it will be revealed how you can solve the quantum resistancy with being Ethereum compatible. So this will be what the first reveal will be about. And obviously you will be able to measure the transaction throughput, so you can measure the speed. So these are the three key elements what you can play around and do with the testnet: measure speed, find out how to be both compatible and quantum resistant, and learn why our blockchain wasn't that much decentralized today as we thought as it was, and how this is going to be different from next year.
Got it. And then some more questions from your fans here.
Okay.
And now the question. Is it true that QAN will be the first layer one which will pay royalty fees to developers?
Yes, we haven't talked about this actually. So this is one fundamental difference as well. There's so much things going in my head, sorry. So QAN is the first layer one. I talked about this a bit in a previous session, that will pay royalties to developers. So if you write proper code other developers want to reuse, you will literally earn money. And I'll get a bit into tech here. Sorry for that, and sorry to those who are not devs at this moment.
Go ahead. I feel like it's what we sign up for when we are having the AMA with the CTO, right? So it's okay.
Excuse me?
It's what we sign up for when we are having the AMA with the CTO.
Okay, that's great. So when you are writing contracts for Ethereum, you will notice that, well, I don't know the exact numbers, so I don't want to say anything stupid, but I think at least more than half of the contracts are reused. Mainly people are extending those base contracts that of OpenZeppelin, which is like a prominent and well-known and outdated source of trustable base contracts to be extended. And two things are happening on Ethereum from this perspective. One thing is that you always have to pay the full price. So even if you extend the OpenZeppelin version with just a custom few variables, you create a new token which has your desired fancy name and decimals and whatever you change in an ERC20 contract, you will still have to pay for the full deployment of the whole contract. Whereas like 99% of that contract is reused from an already existing contract in that chain. And what we make here different is if you are choosing a contract which you are extending and reusing in your project, you will have to pay a lot less deployment fees. And you pay those reduced deployment fees to the original author. So just to learn from this motive, we could have made OpenZeppelin a millionaire or billionaire in this space. But because we incentivize developers to write proper contracts which others are willing to reuse. And this is important for two reasons. One reason is that, again, I can repeat myself here, we encourage developers to write high quality code. This is nice. And the other thing is that if there are certain popular contracts, just like I can bring the OpenZeppelin case again, those will get audited and the crypto space can choose from contracts which are vetted and checked by multiple thousands of people and reputable companies. And they also get benefit to pay a lot less deployment fees because they are essentially not using any more storage. They are just customizing already existing template, and they get to pay that significantly less fees direct to the authors. So these are the three key elements of this program. Yeah, correct.
Great. And then there is another question right here at the end, somebody that knows the protocol specifically. So maybe you can explain. For people that are interested, can you explain how we can get involved with verifying transactions and what that would look like for the miner in your proof of randomness model?
Yes, so the proof of randomness model depends on a pre-commitment scheme. So essentially a miner, when buys a ticket, he will put a pre-commitment on the scheme, on the chain, and according to the scheme, when this particular ticket gets elected or selected based on randomness, so they have to be in a certain range to be picked, then they will have to reveal the pre-commitment which they previously hashed, and that will point to the actual executors. So they will, the proof of randomness chosen ones, so to say, will choose the ones to execute a particular transaction, which will be blind audited by others. So you cannot pre-cheat the system because you don't know when you will get selected. You don't know which transactions will be executed by those you are pointing to. So it's like a triple blind equation. So there is no way to fool the system.
Right.
I don't know if that was clear. If you have more questions related to that, please feel free to ask.
Yes. So as of now, there are no more questions related to the tech side. Okay. So I believe we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. 1 second. Sure. So Johann, definitely thank you very much for being here. We definitely really appreciate the CTO's perspective on everything. We understand that you're doing some incredible advancements on the tech side of blockchain. So definitely appreciate and thank you for being here and being a contributor to the industry.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for the amazing quality and number of questions. Thank you, guys.
All right. See you later. Thank you, everyone.
See you. Thank you. Take care.